So my birth experience was not a very good one, unfortunately. I was a refugee, 7 months pregnant, 23 years old, so I was young and experienced, my first baby. When I was close to having the baby, I did ask the midwife, is there like a class or something that can teach me how to do this? Because I am a bit scared, like I don't know what happens. And she said, oh no, that's fine. On the day we will, tell you what to do. So we went to the hospital with my husband, who wasn't speaking any English. And then obviously I just pushed. I'm quite a powerful woman, young. And then the baby came literally at the end of the bed. It shoot it out. So they took the baby, so there was pretty much not much bonding there because the blood was just gushing out. And then I was in intensive care for 2 days. I lost... Sorry, it's just that I've never talked about this before. It's okay.
Being aware that some women may have experienced trauma that's led them to develop post-traumatic stress disorder, this can make it even more difficult for women to build trusting relationships with you as the care provider. It may be that women from different cultures have a very different understanding of what a midwife is and what health services are available to them. So that is something to definitely bear in mind in terms of when you're presenting care and a care pathway, really explaining exactly what it is that's going to happen at each stage along the way and what your role is as a midwife.
I honestly feel that, for the refugees, it's just different group of people, and it doesn't matter their color or their culture or anything. It's just, as a refugee, you go through some trauma that others would not. I didn't have much contact with anybody else. Like, I had no friends, I had no family, I wasn't working, I wasn't in school, like I had no contact, isolated completely. The only person was the midwife that I saw.
One thing that the midwife can do, which is really helpful for women, is to have a knowledge and awareness of what's available in the local community. So this might be a volunteer doula organisation, it might be a local NCT group which provides tailored support for women seeking sanctuary, or it might just be that there's a local community group who support refugees and asylum seekers in general, so family support groups.
If you don't know how to ask, like when I came, I didn't know there were toddler groups. To me, it was like, what's that? So for me, everything was new. I came from a country that there wasn't much about women or children, or, it just wasn't the culture like that. It was more of a community. You were looked after by your neighbor, by your grandmother, like it was a community, but it wasn't groups or things like that. So I just didn't know what to expect at all.
All women are entitled to free maternity care at the point of access. If a woman presents to you when she's 34 weeks, 35 weeks, 37 weeks, you will have missed that opportunity to do some of those screening tests and to refer for some of those really important early scans. Just be mindful, if you see a woman who comes to your clinic and she is later on in her pregnancy, it may be she's been dispersed to your area within the last few weeks, and she's only just managed to access care, but she has had care in a different area of the UK. Making sure that you chase that up, try and contact the other area. She may have some notes with her, but please don't assume that she has had maternity care. It might be that she is booking late because she didn't realise that she was entitled to care, particularly care from as early on as 8 to 10 weeks of pregnancy.
It took me 6 years to decide to have the second one because I just didn't want to have another one. Despite all the bad experience, I also was grateful that, again, I managed to have the baby, and then I was just grateful to be in this country. I was safe at the end of the day. I wasn't in the war, and I, escaped that. And so I am grateful. I'm grateful every day for being alive. And I think that sort of mentality changes you. So regardless of how much, pain you go through, you kind of just come out of it and you keep going.
Part of your role as a community midwife might be to do a really careful birth plan with women. Talk to them about how they would like to have their baby. Who would they like to have there? Have they got a partner in this country who's able to come and support them? And is that something that she wants? Is she comfortable having a vaginal delivery? Would an elective cesarean be more appropriate? Once she has had the baby, obviously the midwife then will provide care up until 6 to 8 weeks postnatally, when you then hand over to the health visitor. During this time, it's really important that home visits are carried out if they're not carried out antenatally. Assessing what the house is like. Is the accommodation that's been provided for this woman suitable? Is she living in a shared house? Is she living in a hotel? Occasionally, accommodation in these hotels is considered full board. This means women will have a limited access to financial resources because it will be assumed that they are able to access all the necessary food and drink from their accommodation. Please bear this in mind when you're scheduling appointments. Please try and appreciate that if you schedule an appointment during the time frame when the woman has a meal scheduled at her hotel, that she will have to make a decision about whether she eats or whether she comes to the clinic to see you. Women seeking sanctuary may feel that they're a burden to you, so it might be that you need to ask those questions rather than the woman coming to you with accommodation or finances as a problem.
Compassion doesn't really need money. It doesn't need time. It doesn't need to kind of, if you love people and you want to help, I think and that you can see. It doesn't matter if you can't speak the language. You can feel the love and you can see the facial expressions. It's very important for the person to feel, because you feel lonely, you feel like you're not wanted, you don't know the place, you're like there is nobody for you to talk to, because most of the refugees, is not English speaking.
The correct utilisation of translation services is really important. So not relying on partners or friends to translate. If the woman can't speak and understand English, please try and source a face-to-face translator.
I just think it should be a given. I know it's a bit of a bother for hospitals, but there are just certain things just to make people more welcome, to tell them that actually we're listening to your story, we care.
I'd also say one of the most important things that you can do is simply be kind to women. So making sure that you're smiling, allowing women to have time to open up to you, having longer appointments with women, making sure you're using a translator. All of those things will really make a difference to how much she feels that she can trust you and how much she feels heard when telling her story.